hope you are tuned in to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a half an hour away from being glued to the glass and get your mind right.
Welcome to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery one more time. And again, I am your host, your good girlfriend, your friend, Nigeria Anderson. And I'm going to talk about power of attorney today. I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. But, and I got to make that clear. But since we talk about mental health and trauma, let me tell you where it all starts and where it all can begin. When that loved one passes away, and now y'all shocked, y'all in distress, where the money? Did they have a policy? And that right there is an issue. So, being that season 6, we're talking about doing the work. I'm going to have to include making sure that you have done the work, that when you leave here, that it is well. It is well. And I hate that people are afraid of death and don't speak about it because it leaves many families in disarray. And I'm thankful, that my dad has all arrangements. He done had me and my sister's arrangements. Like he wasn't even playing. So we're all taken care of by the grace of God. Thank you. But I'm going to have to talk about it because, before someone becomes mentally incapacitated, and I say it all the time, trauma does not say, hey, how you doing? Next week, Thursday, we good? No, it just shows up. And now you're like, oh my goodness. So it is important to have your affairs in order. And I'm not talking about when you get 50. I'm talking about from 21, when you're of legal age, sound mind, that you need to kind of get your affairs in order. Prior to that, I'm sure your parents will take good care of you. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel where we talk about all things being well, defeating trauma and maintaining our good health, and more importantly, keeping our mind right. I'm telling you that this season, that's going to be the intro for the whole season. I don't know about next season, but I love that. And I've been talking about keeping your face out the glass. And, we just got to continue on helping each other and seeing things in a right perspective. And this season, doing the work, you got to take your vitamins correctly. Go back and look at that video about vitamins. Reason why things don't work. You can't take certain vitamins. You can't drink soda and take your vitamins. Some vitamins you shouldn't have had some spinach. And so we have to know the full story, right? Doctors are like, hey, just here, take this. They didn't tell you don't drink it, don't take it with this, or don't take it with that. They just go on here, take this and eat. So now here you done ate and you're taking your vitamins, and now it's not absorbing or it's not giving you the full benefits. So please go back and look at that video. And we talked about the nutrients that you need and the effects of stress and maintaining your GABA levels. Go look at that video, GABA. I love it. So you can feel comfortable in your process of healing, right? Everybody's like, you need to heal, but there is a process. There's a correct process, and then there's the wrong process. And here we're going to talk about the good process. So feel free to watch those videos and share, like, subscribe. I see that y'all watch the videos, but y'all don't subscribe. It's neither here nor there for me, long as you watching the videos and obtaining the information. So, as we continue to add value to everyday life with tools, language, and wisdom, I speak on topics that I feel necessary for you, especially when it comes to quality care. So, again, share with your friends. And let me tell you, this is not the time to be uninformed. This is not the time. These not the days to be sick or stressed out, but it is a time to make quality decisions about your health. So here at Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery, together we will get through it together. Why? Because I'm your friend. I'm your girl. I'm a tell it. I'm telling how you can make things better for your whole life. Example, talking about this. Probates and power of attorney. Y'all, we gonna talk about it. All right, so man, time is going by quickly. So let me remind you that we have a new schedule. It's not new, but if you're new here, the schedule is I'm on here from March to May, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Then I go on vacation because, I got to keep my mind right. So I go on vacation and then I return from September to November. And I mean, I want to just say to those who think that you have to be on here every day. No, I don't have a million followers, but the things I speak about may not require all of that, but maybe soon people will pick up on it because, honey, we are in a mental health crisis and things just not appearing to get any better. So maybe, some of y'all will share and be like, hey, you know what's going on over there? They got the info. So last week I talked about grief and aging. And so I wanted to keep it going just a little bit about preparing for transition. As I mentioned in the last video, we are all going to leave this side of heaven one day. I've recently have had a few losses. And, as I say, death is not for the living. Death is for the living. It's not for the dead. Why? Because they are dead. So when a person dies, if you don't understand death, that can be very traumatic to you. And it's traumatic, period. Especially if it's, like I mentioned last video, my mom passed. That still is daunting to me. But, I understand and I have clarity. People who are afraid of these conversations just don't understand life. You're not going to live forever, not in earth, but in spirit. So we want to make sure we know where we going when we leave this side. Okay, are we going to heaven? And y'all know how I feel. That's my subject. Not everybody going, but hey, uh, I've given you some stuff to think about. So I want to just stay focused. But listen here. It's still, you got breath in your body. You can still read your Bible, figure some things out, join a church, get under a Bible reading church, figure some things out, because it's still a wonderful, absolutely wonderful time to have to be saved. Okay. All right. Y'all know I'm saved, so I'm going to keep preaching that y'all need to go and get saved. And for my unsaved folks, I love y'all. There's still hope. There's still hope. But, many of y'all trying to live forever with these anti-aging creams. And so let me help you out here. Let me just go and help you out. It's never about what you put on the outside. It's an inside job. All right? It's not the creams, okay? All right, let me just get that in real good. Now, I don't know how to get that through to you, but I don't mind repeating myself, because repeating myself and letting you know over and over again is a learning technique. And one day you might just catch it. Things are taught and things are caught. Now, the reason why I'm really talking about this subject is because I am beginning to see an uptick in the GoFundMe please again, I think it's a good tool for those who need it. Like say a child lost both their parents, there's a GoFundMe. But when you are an adult and you grown and you think you've grown, and you don't have your affairs in order, I am concerned. So let me share, uh, because people are just not prepared. And don't let me talk about the celebrities who post all kinds of fancy stuff, clothes, cars, they on vacation, they got their photos, they all $5,000 bag and this and that, and then bam, GoFundMe. Then I'm puzzled. Like, wait, I thought y'all had money, and at minimum, anybody in entertainment needs insurance. Period. So I thought it would be only right for me to inform you about power of attorney and setting yourself up for when you get older, or if you are older now and you're watching, pay attention. Again, there are too many insurance tools out here for you to be in need of a GoFundMe. Like I'm not saying that no one should use it. There is a time to use it, but I'm talking to my people at Safe Space Talks My Mastery who watch and know I'm going to drop gems and jewels. So here we go. Again, I am not a lawyer, but I have enough personal experience to share. So here we go. What is POA, power of attorney? A power of attorney is a legally binding document in which a person called the principal authorizes another person. And I mean, you want to vet the person, you dedicate your business to them, and you trust that they will follow through. You can't just pick anybody. You need to be sure that they're going to do what you ask them to do. Now, the person you pick is known as the agent, and their job is to make the decisions and take actions on the person's behalf. The scope of authority can be broad or limited depending on the type of POA. Did you hear what I said? There are different types. So make sure you understand which you may need, especially if you have health matters or issues. And the terms specific in the document. Understand what you're supposed to do. Again, it can be a family member, a good friend, your pastor, or your neighbor. You had a good relationship with your neighbor. Hey, listen, vet them out. That neighbor may be the one who, take care of your affairs. And listen, the POA, it can take effect immediately or at a future time, such as when the principal becomes incapacitated. That is key because once the agent signs, they are now in power in accordance to what has been written in the document. So once that's signed, and let the person know they have to sign too. Y'all gotta talk and communicate. Now, I have been a POA for 2 people outside my family because I am trustworthy. One passed, and I responded in kind to what was requested of me to do. The second person, when he got married, he took me off and put his wife on. So there's a reevaluation process that goes on too. And they're not married anymore, but they had a child, so his child, I'm sure, will be the person to take care of his affairs. But look at that. See, I'm just a friend. I wasn't, family. I mean, we family. I call it we family. But I'm just saying that trustworthiness, being outside the family, it can happen. So, just vet the person. Make sure, they're going to do right. And then that person has to be strong because, family be like, who this? Who is you is? So Make sure that you pick somebody who can be like, I am not listening, y'all. Y'all better get out my face. I'm not dealing with y'all. Talk to my lawyer. Talk to the lawyer. All right, so the core responsibilities. A power of attorney, POA, is legally appointed to act on behalf of the principal, either for financial matters, healthcare decisions, this is so important, or both. This is important if you have medical matters, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because mental illness is a medical matter. Trauma is a medical matter, and you may need someone to advocate for you. The POA must uphold a fiduciary duty, meaning they must act with trust, loyalty, and good faith, always prioritizing the principal's interests over their own, meaning, make sure you do what they asked you to do. And I know this is hard sometimes for certain family members. I've been a witness to so many things, but I'm going to give you the steps that you still need to take if you want to have your health in check, and who's going to say the DNR, do not resuscitate. Who do you have in place for this? Now, they cannot use the principal's assets for personal gain or mix personal and principal funds. Now, don't be doing that to the people. And that's a big thing. And this is why some people, majority of people, don't even deal with it, because they're just like, you know what, I can't. But if you have family, I suggest you address the matter. Okay, and have to talk. You're gonna have to talk. Parents gotta talk to their children about sex. You gotta talk about getting married. You gotta talk about getting divorced. You gotta talk about the job. You gotta talk about when you're leaving here. Okay, you gotta talk about it. You gotta have to talk. Just say, hey, honey, or hey, daughter, hey, son. I gotta have to talk with you about when I transition. And I know it's a hard conversation. It is. And y'all don't know. Oh, y'all don't know. But you gotta have it. You gotta have it. When someone asks you if you can be my POA, please don't misuse their assets. Please. Please. Okay? I mean, again, I've heard so many horror stories of family mishandling funds, stealing the money when the person becomes unable to care for themselves. And you are wrong for that. And God will repay. So I had to get that out. I don't like that. All right. When my friends trusted me, I took it as an honor. And I honored their request. You will reap what you sow. Remember that. And to children taking advantage of their grandparents or parents, shame on you. You better do right. You better do right. So when should you get a power of attorney? Well, everyone between the ages of 21 and older should be considering who has a say over their affairs. I stay focused, Nigeria. And again, this doesn't mean you are dying because you're putting your affairs in order. It doesn't mean that. It means you are being responsible for your matters and affairs. There's a saying in the church, get your house in order. You gotta get your house in order. Maybe in church, I got on y'all last time about taking care of your elderly. Well, between 21 and older, help them get their affairs in order. You have financial classes, single classes, have a class on transitioning. What do I need to do? How do I transition? Especially the people who have homes and property. How do I do this? All right, I get emotional. Y'all know I'm passionate about what I do here, so. All right. And I know it's springtime and many of y'all are spring cleaning, but while you are doing that, make sure you're getting your affairs in order. Some spring cleaning in that, okay? And listen, and maybe you don't have money for a lawyer. You can write out your intentions and get it notarized until you can sit with a real lawyer. But you must be clear and based on your state. You have to Google your state and understand the rules of power of attorney and probate. You have to do that. I believe in Ohio, you need two disinterested persons who see you sign your statement and wishes and intent, okay, at the notary. However, it is highly recommended that you have a qualified estate planning attorney who can review your specific wishes, because if you have, like I said, property, boats, planes, and trains, and all them things, you don't want to do it yourself type of document. But if you don't have all of those things and you just got clothes and jewelry and maybe some heirlooms, you may be able to do a notarized situation. So it's pretty much up to you. If you don't have an attorney and you still need to do it yourself, you can speak to a funeral home directly. You can go to the funeral home and they will help you to do what is called a pre-planning without charge. But you still need someone to follow through, meaning, your daughter's son, family member, whoever, to put it all together. Okay. See, these are available tools that you can use, whether you have money, whether you don't have money, whether you have a lot of stuff, maybe you don't have a lot of stuff. Let me tell you something. Cremation used to be cheap. It used to be a thing, right? Today, it is almost as much as a funeral. When I was growing up, and around the time my mom passed, cremation was $250. I believe it is almost up to $5,000 based on the cremation and what you want. And let me tell you, when you're sitting there talking to them, they be adding, do you want this? Do you want that? How about this? Right? Um, the cheapest I think is around 750. That's still a lot of money, especially if you don't have it. That 750, you gotta come up with 750. And I don't know what 750 gonna get you, but you gotta consider this. So it's two things I'm saying to you. Either have the money, right? An insurance policy to get buried, or, have it underneath your mattress or something, that someone can bury you properly. All right. Um, Let me say this. When a person passes, you cannot use their credit card, okay, to help out with the expenses. That is fraud. And you might go to jail, even if you are an authorized user or had permission to use the card before the card member passed away. So this is what you have to do. Once you become once the principal gets the agent and y'all agree, you should go to your financial institutions and process that, because even so, when the individual passes, even though you're power of attorney, you still have to fill out additional paperwork and bring the documents and bring the death certificate. But if you can get ahead of that, and then all you will need is to bring the death certificate, you'll be ahead of the game, because it gets bananas sometimes, okay? So notify the credit card company immediately to stop the interest rates and other fees on the card, like late fees. They will need a copy of the death certificate, like I said, but you want to call them and at least let them know, listen, the person passed. Please stop all activity on the card. This way it won't just be piling up while you in distress and trying to figure out things. So this is what I suggest to you. Get a book. When you become the power of attorney, you have to get yourself a book, like I did. Write down all the things you're going to need to do, so that when it happens, you're not just like, oh, now what do I do? So you have to be prepared. So it's better to be prepared than unprepared. I mean, I have a black book with all my information in it for my family in case something happens to me. And something did happen to me. But ta-da! I'm back. God was like, go back, go back. Here I is. So, but I had my affairs in order. I told myself, this is my book, all my banking information, all my things, all the things you'll need to know. And, she would have been in distress, but she'd have been prepared. So do that. And I told you in the last video, my friend was telling me how, they have, they're sick. And the first thing I was like, well, did you tell your children do you have all your affairs in order? And I said, some people think that's cold or, oh my goodness, because it is important. It is important. And I'm here to tell you, I'm sitting here telling you, life is unpredictable. That's why we got so much trauma. Life is unpredictable. We don't know. Y'all just spoiled. Y'all think tomorrow's gonna come. Why you think at the end of the show I say if it'd be God's will, I will be here next week. Listen, I don't take it for granted. Okay, stay focused, Nigeria. All right. There are a few good insurance deals available. I'm not being sponsored. I just want y'all to know. I can't stand when people trying to help people, but they leave out the important information. Now, one I know from a friend who used it was Gerber Life Insurance. Another one is Mutual Omaha. They're not paying me. I don't know. But by reference, these two were pretty decent. You can Google, you can seek, you can ask ChatGPT, y'all can do whatever you want to do. I just wanted to, let you know quickly what you can do if you ain't got time to do all of that research. So yeah, I'm just here trying to make sure we all make it through to the other side of through. And I strongly suggest you look into these tools and make some sound decisions. I think I'm giving y'all some gems today. Who can you trust? Is it a good friend? Is it your church girlfriend? Is it some, hold on. I'm taping. I'll call you right back. That's my sister. And I'm going to keep it on here so I know she watches so she can just be like, All right, so I strongly suggest you look into these tools and make some sound decisions. Who can you trust to make your final wishes? Who can you trust to take care of it? This is not just for the elderly. Like I said, this is for everybody. This is for everyone. You're not, and some people think like, oh, I'm giving up control. You're not giving up control. You are protecting yourself. It's legal. Listen, you and when you leave, you gone. You died. So why are you worrying? You're not gonna be worried when you're dead. You're gonna be asleep. Okay? You're not gonna know what's going on. I promise you. So don't worry yourself. And then don't worry yourself to death. Like just leave the instructions the way you want them. Okay? And you don't have to have one individual because, say, I'm gonna leave my sister in charge. I'm 80, she's 79. So we gotta make sure like there's a successor who's younger, who may still be here, but honey, life's so tricky. My dad was so busy preparing himself and I almost left. You understand? He in his 80s. I'm in my 40s. I could have been gone. See what I'm saying? So it's like, just kind of leave some information though. You know, where your insurance policy is, and you know, something. You gotta let somebody know. Okay? Um Aging. We talked about, and sometimes when people age, they begin to forget, right? I'll leave it at that. They tend to forget. However, you don't want to come visit and they're sitting in the dark because the light bill wasn't paid. They haven't eaten because there's no food in the refrigerator. So for my older generation, I want you to make appoint somebody to be in charge, because you know that forgetfulness is suddenly. You could be fine Monday and not have a clue on Tuesday. Again, life is unpredictable. I left my house. I looked my sister in the face. I said, I'll be back. I didn't mean 2 months later. I meant within an hour. Life is unpredictable. So, again, know your state, know the state rules, and have a designated person to mind your affairs. And also, based on age, if you need a successor, have one. Now, the POA cannot be pushed over, because um, all hell might break out, especially if you're not family. Remember, I said you can make someone a POA if they're not family. So don't have a person who is a pushover. They cannot be a pushover. All right. Now, ARP has some good resources as well. Again, I'm an AARP member. They're not giving me no money for this. They should, but they're not. I'm just being very transparent and honest to help you make better decisions about when you transition. Okay? So, AARP, they have good resources. And so that's another place. And especially, here's another matter that you need to address, and that's probate. Okay, so what is probate? Probate is the legal process of validating a deceased person's will, settling debts. People keep thinking when people die, they ain't got to pay stuff, and distributing their assets to heirs, to the heirs and or beneficiary. Okay, you know what? All this noise. Probate is a court supervised legal process that occurs after someone dies to ensure their estate is properly administrated. The estate includes all assets owned by the deceased, such as money, property, personal belongings. During probate, the court oversees the payment of debts and taxes, validates the will if one exists, and ensures remaining assets are distributed according to the will. Probate is sometimes called estate administration. Many people have homes, boats, etc., like I mentioned. If you do not take care of these items, the state will gladly say, give me your jet, your boat, your homes, your everything. So this is why I'm talking about it. Please don't let the state take it. Lord, don't let the state take it. So here's how probate works. The exact steps of probate process can vary depending on state rules. You got to know the rules of your state. But they typically include probate initiation, which is you need a death certificate is presented to the court along with paperwork to initiate the probate proceedings. The will filing. The descendant's will is filed with the court. If a will exists and the court is asked to admit the will to probate. Beneficiary notification. The beneficiaries, those who will potentially inherit, are notified. In some states, notification also goes to the descendants' heirs, even when the descendant died with a will, because those heirs may have legal standing to contest the validity of the will. That's when all hell start breaking out. Will validation. The court examines the will to determine if it is legally valid. So remember, you got to have your estate planner do what they need to do and honor your wishes. The executor appointment. An executor or estate administrator is appointed to oversee the probate process. It is if the descendant created a will and named someone as executor. The court will generally appoint this chosen person, assuming they fit to serve. Asset identification. The executor identifies the assets of the deceased, the executor. Asset validations. A valuation takes place if necessary to determine the total value of the estate, which will in turn determine the amount of estate tax, if any, that will be assessed. Creditor notification. Notification is provided to creditors who may have a claim against the estate. This is why you got to do it. Debt payments. The executor pays the descendants' debts out of the estate assets in accordance with the probate laws. Asset distribution. Remaining assets are distributed to beneficiaries in accordance with the descendants' wishes laid out in the will. If there is no will, most of the steps in this process are similar, but the court appoints a person, representative, who fulfills the role of executor, typically known as the administrator. If you own property, this is key. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just sharing information for you to follow up on. Do your due diligence, but at least we're having the conversation, because I don't know if anyone else wants to have this conversation with you, and especially, it's a tough one. I just feel like people are not talking about it, and I'm really tired of seeing GoFundMes. And from what I hear, GoFundMe takes a healthy portion of what you raise. So now you're raising money and only getting not even all the money. So the best you can do is try to get things in order, right? Otherwise, are they resting in peace? So let your family know your going-ons and what you got, and you're not giving up control, you're being responsible, and let's make life, right? Let's stop bragging life be life, and no, get your life right. Let's just do life. And it's so much better when we can really do life together And that's why I love my friends. I think I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have like 50 years of friendship with, my family is blessed. I'm not arguing. We don't argue and fight sometimes because, but we snap right back. It don't be like, um, you gotta stop. We can't. At what age? You know what? I'm not. I'm not. Because I was going to go somewhere and talk just about maturity and, get on Christians who don't speak to people and, all of the foolishness. So, next week is my birthday. I was going to come on, but then I decided I'm not. I'm going to enjoy my birthday, right? So I won't be on next week, but I'll be on the week after that. So I love me some y'all, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Same bad time, same bad channel. Love me some y'all.